of course, there's also the matter of police targeting activists, and I want to bring that up because I've noticed that you guys have done a pretty good job of kind of setting up a barrier for yourselves from that. And I know Tim is a known activist in Los Angeles, and there's a lot of activists going to be listening to this, I certainly hope. What advice do you have for activists to kind of protect themselves from the harassment and everything that goes with having the cops mad at you because you're daring to challenge their impunity?
Well, I think for one thing, there's a huge need for solidarity. People need to go to court with people. People need to back people up. They need to really be, in solidarity with people. Even if you don't have political agreements with everybody. I don't, agree with everything that everybody in the Twin Cities does in the activist community, but I've always had their back. One of the things that we did here around the RNC, we had the RNC come to town in 2008. And anybody who's ever had a Republican convention in your town knows what a god-awful experience it is. The cops are, they're given all the money they want. They're given huge amounts of money to go after activists. They are given insurance policies that insure them for millions of dollars of all the things that they do wrong. And it's a really bad situation. And one of the things we came up with here was a thing called the St. Paul Principles. And I'm one of the authors of that, and I'm damn proud of it.
I love the St. Paul Principles.
God, yeah. They are, basically they say that we will have, so that we take care of each other and we don't have to own responsibility for things, we will separate our actions by time and or space. And so that, if people want to do something a little bit more militant than some other group wants to do, we'll have some separation. So that's a mutual respect. But also it says that we will not bicker in the movement. And, we do have disagreements, but we won't do them openly. We won't expose them to the media. We will have the principle of sitting down with the people that you don't agree with and working out among ourselves without exposing it to the media. That's a very important principle. I love that principle. And also, we will not cooperate with police to go after anybody in the movement. No how, no way. And that turned out to be so incredibly important, because when there was a group of 8 young people here, people might even remember the RNC 8. These were 8 young anarchists who came under attack. They were the very first people, certainly in our state, but I believe even in the country, that were charged with a terrorism enhancement specifically for activism, in planning for protests and things. And the funny part is they weren't even doing that stuff. They were mostly planning infrastructure like housing, and they got a meeting space for everybody to meet at the Convergence Center and things like that. They weren't even really planning protests. They were planning how to support other people's protests. And they came under attack, the RNC 8. They were charged with these horrible multiple felonies and terrorism and stuff like that. The community, every part of the community came together behind these people. People, we let it be known, you are not getting any of our people. You are not. And this was a beautiful thing, because these 8 people faced really serious charges, really an uphill battle. As soon as you say the word anarchist, that goes a long way toward getting people all whipped up into shape and, into not supporting these people. But people didn't do that here. People supported these people in huge measure. We raised, believe it or not, $187,000 for their legal defense. I mean, that's unprecedented, right? That kind of level of support. Right. And we got these people off those charges. This was really important. Some people took deals for very small charges, but for the most part, we got people off those charges. And it was a very beautiful thing in the movement. And there was none of this crap like, oh, they're the violent protesters and we're the good people. And because that's what they try to get you to do. So, and I see this happen in other communities all the time, and people let it happen because, they're the socialist so-and-sos, or they're the anarchist so-and-sos, or the communist so-and-sos, or the whatever so-and-sos, and I don't like those people's philosophy or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Forget all that. The government don't like any of us, and it doesn't matter what your sort of way of coming at this is. If you are going up against the system in whatever fashion, they don't like you, and under the coming regime, it's going to get worse. And we need to say, I don't care how you come at this system, as long as you're coming at the system and trying to take it on and take it down. And if you're that, I'm your brother or sister, and I'm going to stand with you. That's how we have to do that. Solidarity.
Solidarity is important. Yes, solidarity. And I think it's as we get involved in our struggles and we're all fighting the system in our own way. I think sometimes we forget about that we're closer to our other activists. Myself, I'm an anarchist who leans right, but the communists, they're working for the same thing I am. At the end of the day, they want a freer society, and we disagree about how to get there. But right now, we're both headed in the same direction, and I'd like to see people focus on that more. I will make a post this week on IFOUGHTTHELAW.INFO where I'll put up the St. Paul principles, because you're right, that is important, and people need to read those principles and get familiar with them and practice them. It really makes everything a lot less messy and a lot less safer for everybody.
Well, can I say one thing? This is a great example. 2008, there was a Republican convention and a Democratic convention, right? The Democratic convention, I believe, was held in Colorado, and they allowed themselves to get drawn into this media, creation of bad protester, good protester, and it was because of some infighting in the movement. And their entire protest scheme basically just broke down. There weren't good protests against the Democrats, and believe me, they're at least as deserving as the Republicans. And the whole thing just fell apart there, with people getting charges and nobody backing up the people that got charges and things like that. And here we had the Republicans here, and we didn't have one bit of that. Virtually every single group in the Twin Cities, except for a couple of smaller groups, signed on to the St. Paul principles, and we didn't have any of that foolishness here at all of them. They tried so hard to try to do these dynamics, and I can tell you the funniest part of all is that the cops themselves, and then some of the journalists that were very right, cop supporter types, were all super pissed about the St. Paul principles. Oh, the St. Paul principles, they're terrible because, they make all these people stand together. Yeah, that's the point, And so any kinds of, and I don't care what people do, if they want to take up those principles, make their own or whatever, but solidarity, we do not let there be room for the cops to come in and break us up. We don't let them and their media, buddies, put that wedge, that we just don't allow it. That's not how it gets to go. And that, to me, that's a really important way, because I think coming you started saying about maybe something about Trump and the coming time period, I think that's exactly what they're going to try to do. They're going to go after people, and we have to be prepared to stand up with people that they go after.